Hey guys, hope you're keeping well. In today's English video lesson, we're going to learn more vocabulary words with Dr. Sam Harris. If you want to check out the spelling of the words that I'll be teaching, please check out the description. Let's do this.
The end game can't just be the successful promulgation of a endless war against jihadism.
The first word of the lesson is promulgate. To promulgate is to spread something, usually an idea. When an idea is shared with many, many people, it is promulgated. The noun form is promulgation. Promulgation. So Sam says that the end game, the goal, cannot just be endless war against jihadism, the ideology of jihadism. This cannot be the only goal.
Yeah, but I don't think that's avoidable, but I think the real success will be something like 2 billion Muslims recognizing that they want no part of jihadism, right? And that they anathematize it and
The next word of the lesson is anathematize. But first, let me tell you about anathema. Anathema is something that you hate, something that you despise, something that you don't want to be part of because it doesn't align with your values. For example, bigotry, closed-mindedness is anathema to me. I hate bigotry. The verb is anathematize. So he says that Muslims, moderate Muslims, should anathematize jihadism. They themselves should despise and disapprove of those horrible ideas that are spread through jihadism. Anathematize. You could spell it with a Z in American English or with an S in British English. Let's go back and hear these words.
success will be something like 2 billion Muslims recognizing that they want no part of jihadism, right? And that they anathematize it and cordon it off.
They cordon it off. Now, sometimes on a road, you will see an area which has been blocked off. It is separated from the rest of that particular road. This is to cordon something off. So he says that moderate Muslims, those who are peace-loving religious people, they should block jihadism off. They should not want to be part of jihadism. To cordon something off. Pay attention to the pronunciation of that last syllable. It's cordon, cordon, pronounced with a schwa. Cordon something off.
And collaborate in its destruction, right? Like they have to view jihadism the way non-Muslims who are the victims of jihadism view jihadism. Because the truth is, the most common victim of jihadist atrocities are Muslims themselves, right?
The next word of the lesson is atrocity. An atrocity is a horrible, horrendous act of cruelty or savagery. So Sam says that the victims of jihadism, extremism, the victims are Muslims. Muslims, peace-loving, moderate Muslims themselves. Let's pronounce that word together one more time.
The way non-Muslims who are the victims of jihadism view jihadism. Because the truth is, the most common victim of jihadist atrocities are Muslims themselves, right?
Atrocity, 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 and the plural, atrocities.
If you just look at it, as a global phenomenon, there's nobody suffering the consequences of jihadism more than the Muslim community worldwide. So the thing that is so toxic and so destabilizing is this reflexive and tribal solidarity we see throughout the Muslim world simply because these people are Muslims in conflict with non-Muslims.
Solidarity is a state of union, is when there is a strong bond between two groups of people. For example, if certain individuals have been affected by an act of oppression, other people will stand in solidarity with them. To stand in solidarity is a great expression to learn as well. To stand in solidarity with someone.
Israelis, with Jews, with Westerners, who can have a lot to apologize for colonialism and imperialism, et cetera, et cetera. There's some story that aligns them by default with, again, people who are behaving like total psychopaths who don't. If you actually look closely at what they don't want what most Muslims worldwide want. I mean, most Muslims worldwide do not want to live in anything like the caliphate as envisioned by the Islamic State or Hamas.
Envision is to imagine something. So he says that most modern Muslims don't want to live in those tyrannical, oppressive conditions as imagined by the Islamic State. Envision. Pay attention to the prefix in, en. This prefix normally creates a verb, envision. So we know vision, that's a noun, and envision, that's the verb. To envision something. So you can use it in a transitive way, to envision something, or something is envisioned in the passive structure.
Right? Now, an uncomfortable number actually do, right? I mean, this is the larger sociological and political problem that we have to face. But we, again, includes some considerable number of secular Muslims, liberal Muslims, moderate Muslims, merely conservative Muslims who still want no part of Islamism or jihadism. I mean, you can divide this into an increasingly complicated Venn diagram, but
a Venn diagram, this is something that you may have come across in your math class in high school. So, for instance, you have two sets of numbers, and there is some overlap. And this diagram is usually called a Venn diagram. When you draw a circle around one set of number, and then you draw another circle around another set of numbers. And if there is some overlap, then this is usually shaded on that diagram. This is normally called a Venn diagram. It's a nice way to talk about common interests, for instance. So let's go back and hear that again.
Muslims who still want no part of Islamism or jihadism. I mean, you can divide this into an increasingly complicated Venn diagram, but we have to win a war of ideas with the Muslim world in 100 countries to draw a bright line around this species of religious fanaticism, which is, again,
fanaticism. Now, let's talk about the word fanatic, which usually describes a person who is very bigoted and they have very rigid ideas that are harmful. That way of looking at the world is fanaticism. So Sam is suggesting that we engage with people who are spreading these ideas. We combat fanaticism, bigotry, in terms of ideas, in terms of the philosophy that is promulgated by fanatics. Fanaticism is the noun, and fanatic is the individual. Let's go back and hear that word again.
We have to win a war of ideas with the Muslim world in 100 countries to draw a bright line around this species of religious fanaticism, which is, again, only exists within Islam. It's only within Islam that you're facing this kind of death cult behavior. It's only...
All right, guys, this is the end of the lesson. Let me know what you think of the words. If you've learned something new, I'll be delighted to hear about it. Thanks for watching.